Hey everybody, thank you for coming. Thank you, Crypto Last Outpost and the mods in the chat. I appreciate you all. It's Tuesday. We have 53 nuggets to get through and we're going to analyze a lot of charts. There's some very, very ugly things on the horizon and some very positive things too. We'll break it all down and cover it in the good, the bad, and the ugly. So first of all, let's talk, before we jump in, still a lot of stacking happening on the ETF side. I think BlackRock had another 100 million yesterday. And they are now at 20.5 billion. While nobody is looking, they're stacking hard. And there's other people stacking hard too. We'll cover the ETH ETF outflows continue. Nearly 450 million out. That's normal. The market cap is a little higher than last time I reported. It's like 2.1 trillion instead of 2.05. So we're up 0.05 trillion, which is good. And let me see. Crypto, well, Bitcoin was at 61.5 and it fell $2,000. And it does that to wreck your head, everybody. And I think right now, as we speak, it's falling a little bit, like $100. And that's not my fault. So let's jump in and talk about all the good stuff. Not financial advice as well. And thank you to the team behind me that make all this possible. Ginger Lane, loving my Patreon membership. Thank you, James. Thank you, Ginger, for coming and being part of the crew. Let's start with the ugly news. And there's quite a bit today, so brace yourselves. We'll kick it off with the unlocks this week. A couple of big names that you probably know. ID is there, Gala's there, ACA, whatever that is, Fort, ENA, that'll just continue to rain tokens till the end of time. Yield Guild Games the same way. AGX, whatever that is, Portal. What else we got? Manta, GMT, and Sui. DYDX is on the list, but there's no dumps. Sometimes they have no dump, but they're on the list as well. Optimism is on the list, no dump, so don't worry about that too much. But that is the tokenomics for today. Now, another bad news. People were hopeful that there'd be a Sol ETF approved, but now it's a nice flow chart from James Seyfert that it's dead on arrival. And we'll explain why too. The Solana ETF filing never made it past step 2, that little red box down there. And the SEC basically, whatever, did something to pull it. They withdrew the 19B4Ss, although the issuer's S1s are still intact. So that basically means under the current regime, there is a snowball's chance in hell of it getting approved. So we need a regime change. But there's other stuff happening too. Let's talk about this for a second. This was just posted that the SEC rejected CBOE's BZX's 19B4 filings, whatever the hell that means, for 2 prospective spot Solana ETFs. But because they maintain the fact that Solana should be classified as a security. Now, SEC was taken to court by XRP, Ripple, and they lost. And if Ripple is not a security, I do not know what is, literally. So there's no chance Sol is. Again, are the Solana team going to bother, like Ripple, to take the SEC to court? No, they're not. We're going to hold out for regime change. But there's other stuff happening. And again, politics and crypto are inextricably linked, and there's nothing I can do about it, all right? And some people don't like seeing this, but it's a fact of life. Gary is the most unpopular head of the SEC. And as Ryan Sean Adams, by the way, Ryan Sean Adams from Bankless, his words, not mine, so I don't get into trouble with Gary Gensler lovers out there. He said, if this is true, this would basically end crypto in the US, and we might as well flee the country now. I'm sure CBDC will be top of the agenda to force mandates like in China. Just in from Watch Your Guru, Kamala Harris is considering Gary Gensler as Treasury Secretary if elected president, according to Senate sources. Anybody afraid yet? I'll just leave that there. You guys make up your own decisions. Now, another crappy news. The economy is in a shambles. I'm going to share some ugly charts to prove it, and you've heard me. People saying, oh, God, what's wrong with IA? He's so down on the macro and the economy because it's crap. But that doesn't mean the markets go down. It doesn't mean you should move to cash and hide. You can hedge some things, but remember, don't always kind of have one foot in the market or one leg even. Bankruptcies spiked to 2016 levels. This is out of control. And we're not even through the end of the year. Bankruptcies, most companies normally hit the fan in the latter half of the year. This is going to get a lot worse. Break some new records too. But there's more. Bye-bye travel. As I say sometimes, no mun, no fun. Mun is money. If you got no money, you're going to have no fun. Travel demand is tanking. It's falling like a Boeing, what's the Boeing X plane that they have out of the sky? Anyway, the websites of top airlines, cruise lines, vacation places, etc. declined by 4.6% and 4.4% in July respectively compared to last year. At the same time, accommodation websites recorded a 3.7% year-over-year drop. Furthermore, the average trip length is down 14% year-over-year from 8 days to 6 days on average. Airbnb is dying right now. Shout out to those who are still making it work. Remember, we're chatting about that entrepreneurial section today. Have something special and don't gouge your customers too much if you want to stay occupied. But Airbnb is tanking. Shares plunged a ton, the most in 2 years after the company warned of slowing demand for bookings. And the boom in travel is officially dead. All right? This stops when people have no money, no fun. Bad sign. But there's more. If anybody out there has a restaurant or is in the catering business, be careful. Batten down the hatches right now. Cut your burn, which means cut your costs. If you own a restaurant, you're going to be feeling the pinch. All restaurant spending year-over-year growth, according to Bank of America, aggregated credit and debit card data, is basically in free fall. Absolutely getting crushed completely. There's no sign of it getting better. These are the macroeconomic signals that I hope the Fed and Jerome Powell is looking at, because it's in a world of hurt. This is why I'm negative on the macro. But it doesn't mean I'm negative in markets. Let me explain why. Let's ease into the bad news now that the ugly's out of the way. First of all, fear and greed is at 30. So not 25. People aren't freaking out completely. Bitcoin season is down to 22, which means most alts are still getting smashed. And remember, it's been down here for quite some time, since May, June, down around the sub 25 level, which is pretty ugly. Let's check out some of the names over the last 90 days. And you can see the graph: Fetch, IMX, Arbitrum, Hedera, Near, Whiff, Optimism, Arweave, Sheep, Cosmos, Avalanche, all down 50% over the last 90 days, getting absolutely slaughtered. Solana down 22%. Bitcoin down 17.3%. But there is a bright spark. AAVE and Tron and Kaspa up there in the top three. They are all making it. They're positive. Some quite positive. So what's up with AAVE? Well, AAVE, TVL, is hitting new records. And it is getting back in the game. This is AAVE on the ATR model. And we're heading up to level 3 after being sub $60 for much of the time since mid-2022. Now poised to break out above 130. And AAVE has killed it over the last 90 days, as we saw here. So it's good to see AAVE, the OG DeFi player that's been around for a long time and continues to innovate and make things great. So well done, AAVE. Good to see that happening. Now, this is the categories from the team at Artemis. And last week, DPIN won the day, but now, I shouldn't say win the day, because the returns on smart contract platforms is zero, but still that's winning, because that's the best performing sector of all the sectors. DPIN is number 2, down 4.4%. But check out Bitcoin, down 12.7% for the month, and Ethereum, 26.4%. That is big hit over the last month. Again, other categories, what's down on the far left? Purple. Real world assets, down 38.2%. That's nasty. AI got hammered too. Bridges, gaming. I mean, it's a bloodbath out there in the altcoin market. But it's always darkest before the dawn. You all know that. But let's go on. Let's talk about Ethereum. Why is ETH hurting so bad? Well, the ETH ETF not only is the grayscale skunk scale continuing to bleed out the ETHE, yesterday 20.3 million, but nobody bought yesterday. Nobody. 19th of August 2024, nobody was even taking a sniff at Ethereum. So that is kind of scary. So not only is grayscale still bleeding out, but the inflows have stalled. Not good. But again, it is August, which is a sucky month anyway. So I'm hoping September will be off to a bang and good things will happen. Let's check out the bleed between what was GBTC for the first 150 days. And this is from Farside, by the way. Shout out to the Farside team. Great stuff. I love these charts. And Ethereum dumping faster. Nearly 30% of the ETH holdings is gone in 3 weeks. Madness. Very quick bleed. As if they hit the jugular or something and didn't put any pressure on it. Just anyway, I'm in a weird mood today. Thank you so much, Alub, for coming. Now, all the stuff you want to stay informed, recap, 10 cents a day for every slide podcast if you want to listen, because I go so fast, it's hard to absorb everything. Let me know. And thank you to the team that makes this happen behind the scenes. They are wonderful. Shout out to the good and Clint Eastwood. Let's go. Crypto market. Despite things feeling like they really suck, they're not that bad. Yes, Ethereum versus Bitcoin. This is everything divided by Bitcoin. Of course, Bitcoin's going to be zero. Ton beat it. Sol beat it. Cardano beat it. Avalanche, Binance, Tron, Matic, Litecoin. The two big losers, well, three, Bitcoin Cash, Polkadot, Ethereum, XRP, Uniswap, WIF. I think WIF is a meme coin. They all didn't do so well. Let's look at dollar terms for the week, and this gives you a different perspective. So we're back. Here we are. 1 week later. It feels like we had a lot of pain, but literally we're actually up since I did this a week ago. Bitcoin's up 0.88%. Solana's up about 1%. Ethereum's still down. Binance up 10%. Big move. And Ton as well, and other good names. So again, not too bad. That's in melting ice cubes terms, as I call melting fiat. You're better off holding certain crypto assets than fiat any day of the week. Now, this is a cool new chart. Shout out to Sanjay as well for getting it to me right before I went live. This is from the team at Glassnode, and it shows you. And I rewrote out to make sure you could see, because the text as of the 18th of August is a little bit hard to read because of the colors. So I wrote it out. But what is stunning, these are the changes in dominance from November 2022 to today. Bitcoin dominance has gone from 38.7% to 56.2%. ETH dominance, 16.8%. That's the purple color, the reddy purpley color. You can see how high it was back in May 2021. It was huge. ETH dominance back then was about 25%. Now it's 15%. Totally took a big dump. Stablecoin dominance went from 17.3% to 7.4%. Remember, stablecoins don't go up in the bull market because they are dollar denominated. So the dollar stays a dollar. But the amount in stablecoins has actually grown, but so has the total crypto market cap as well. And altcoin dominance has gone from 27.2 to 21.3%. So basically, between the bleeding out of altcoins, stablecoins, Ethereum, boom. That's why Bitcoin is so dominant right now. And I thought that was very interesting to see. That will change. Those ratios will mean revert soon. And we're going to be ready for it when they do. Now, let's talk about digital asset flows. We had a tiny little positive inflow of 30 million, but that's a win. We like positive. And as recent macroeconomic data implied, the Fed are kind of probably, there was a lot of confusion last week. Are they going to cut? Are they not going to cut? Are they going to cut by 25 basis points, 0 points, 50 points? People were confused, but still, there was a slight positive inflow. Now, this is concerning. Normally, Solana has a big positive inflow, steady Eddy for the last year and a half, but they took a huge dump last week. Now, I don't know why. Maybe the ETP holders realize they don't get staking rewards of 8% by staking Solana in a fund. Who knows? But we'll monitor that carefully and try to figure out exactly who is behind that dump. Bitcoin, 42 million in. Ethereum, 4.2 million in. And maybe Maybe those in Solana said, you know what, I'm going to take my money out of Solana and put in Bitcoin. Who knows? We shall see. But there was a little bit of activity there as well. And this is all in the face of another 120 million coming out of Grayscale Bitcoin Trust as well last week. Now, a quick reminder, we're nearly at the million Bitcoin mark for amount of Bitcoin held by the ETFs, which is stunning. The amount of on-chain holdings by these ETFs is now 921,000. It will not be long, and we'll have a million Bitcoin. And as I say, there will never be more than 15 million Bitcoin. So 1/15 of all Bitcoin will be in these ETFs, which some believe is not a good thing. I think we only need to get concerned when we get to like a fifth, which would be about 3 million Bitcoin. Anyway, Viciously, thank you for coming as well. Let's talk about the title of the story, The Earthquake Triggered by the Fed. And I'll try to break down why, because people still don't get it. They think, oh, when the Fed cuts, that means we're in a world of hurt. We're already in a world of hurt. That's already here. That's not coming when they cut. It's already here. We're feeling the pain. So I want people to try to get their heads around that. It's very, very important in markets and investing. This from Walter Bloomberg. The rate cut poll, dovish talk incoming, earthquake time. So Reuters poll, Federal Reserve to cut funds rate by 75 basis points this year. Some think 100 basis points or even more. And that's, they say, 55 of 101 economists versus 50 basis points in July. So that's gone more bullish over time. And the economic growth to average 2.5% and 1.8% in 2024 and 2025. And the median probability of recession in 2 years, 30%. Again, as I say, there's always a recession happening. There's a few of them right now in the US. No surprise, the macro sucks. We explained that. People aren't spending. That can cause a vicious death spiral. But what happens next? And what impact does it have? This is so important to everybody. Please focus for this one. The Fed rate cut opportunity for crypto is, if it does happen, there will be increased liquidity and investment, because a Fed rate cut will lead to increased liquidity and lower borrowing costs, encourage more investment and risk. The other way to think about that is, if you were getting 5% on your treasuries and now you're only getting 3.75%, that's not enough alpha to cover the debasement. So you're going to seek out more risk and you're going to invest in things like Bitcoin and crypto, perhaps, or risk assets. That's the first thing. Second thing, a weaker US dollar will be positive for Bitcoin and crypto. It always is. I'm going to break that down in a few charts right now. And it'll bring out a market sentiment boost. So for those of you who think a Fed rate cut's bad, it is not. There's still so much confusion about that. Swipe or no swiping. Thank you for coming. Now let's look at DXY taking a dump. There's a few things taking a dump in this show. This is the next one. This is the dollar index. And a beautiful little chart takes us back to December 2023. We were exactly at this level, about 100, 101 for the dollar index. Remember, this is taking a dirty shirt and comparing it to even dirtier, stinkier shirts. All right, so I want that to be clear. The trend is clearly down. This thing is in free fall, worse than late 2023. But what we really care about is what's going on, okay? Because I heard, you just said in the previous slide, when DXY takes a dump, Bitcoin pumps. What's going on now? Let's look at some history and some correlations. First of all, the DXY Bitcoin is normally inversely correlated. That's the correlation coefficient at the bottom there. The pink line is the Bitcoin price and the dollar index is above. You can see most of the time when the pink line goes up, the Bitcoin price goes down and vice versa. If we look at the big rampage that the DXY went on between May 2021 all the way up to about November 2022, Bitcoin went through a nasty bear market. All right, that's just how it works now. What you'll also pick up from this is there is a lag between when the DXY rises, Bitcoin doesn't fall immediately, and therefore the corollary is also true. When the DXY tanks, Bitcoin doesn't rise immediately either. There's the lag. I haven't calculated the lag, but when I get time, I will. I think it's somewhere between 60 and 90 days. We're going to watch this carefully, and you'll see a lot more of this DXY correlation because, again, this puppy is in free fall which historically has been very good for Bitcoin. So let's see what we got next. Other good news too, and this is what I mean by the tailwinds, the potential earthquake that are going to kick in. Dixie has broken down, and this is from Milk Road as well, by the way. It's awesome. But M2, money supply, is breaking up. Okay? This is key. We know M2 growing will float all boats, and it's going to be a good thing. Dixie will be a good thing, but we just got to wait for it to kick in. I don't know where it's going to be. Next 30, 60, 90 days, we will see some fireworks, pretty much for sure. And if it couldn't get any better, it just has. When Tether mints, buy. Shout out to Ivan on Tech. He always says that. When Tether mints, buy. Tether mints another $1 billion on Tron. And they have already mined $33 billion. Magical internet money that gets pumped into crypto as well. This stuff doesn't get held in stablecoins. It gets moved into actual crypto assets too. And proof. This is proof. Stablecoin signals, BTFD, ladies and gentlemen. To stem panic, the market has received about $150 billion in cash, which participants in the crypto space will use to buy the dip. Last time was August 3rd. We were at the 50K level, and this has been happening now for the last 4 years, and it's unlikely anything will change. This is, ladies and gentlemen, a bullish setup. So I hope you're tracking with me. But hey, there's more. Mr. 100 buys 1,900 Bitcoin the last week. And that is big. 119 times. It's kind of incredible. And again, yes, I hear it's like an upbit cold exchange wallet. It's not the behavior of a cold exchange wallet. This is somebody building a bag within an exchange for a very specific purpose because they've gotten really good at DCAing, and I've been watching their wallet every day for 10 months now. And their behavior 10 months ago was a little bit off. Timing was off. Now they're very methodical. And when they saw Bitcoin at 58.5, it's like, give me that. They were just grabbing it hand over fist. That's not what a cold wallet does for an exchange, centralized exchange. And shout out to Marty Party. He shared this beautiful chart, which comes from Cube Crypto, I think it is. But he talks about different bull market cycles. Okay, so we have the bear in red, 2011, 2014, 2018, 2022. I can never get enough of these charts, by the way, so I love showing different variations every single week. Then we have the pre-bull. Okay, early bull, I call it. There's the lime green on the Tabby model. Pre-bull, and sometimes a lot of action can happen. Sometimes it can be a bit choppy. And then we have the first bull run, 2012, 2016, 2020, 2024. Remember, most of the action typically happens a year later if history repeats. That would be the 2013s, the 2017s, the 2021s, and the 2025s. 2025 is not here yet. 2024 is not even over. We are still in the first bull run, and then the second bull will happen after that. And then, depending on how high we go and how hard we come down, if we come down again, will be very interesting to watch. We will be on that as well. So watch this space carefully. Next, another bullish news. 75% of Bitcoin have not moved in the last 6 months. Supply and demand is in our favor. Remember, the ETFs are trying to snag 1 million of our Bitcoin. When will supply crunch happen? Not sure. But I want you to cast your eyes on that little purple segment there. 17% of all Bitcoin has not moved in over 10 years. Do you think this stuff is going to move? No. Odds are it's lost forever. Same with the 7 to 10 year snack. Same with the 5 to 7 year snack. A lot of stuff is lost forever. And that purple will continue to grow over time. Because I still hear reports of people sending Bitcoin to the wrong address and it's lost forever. Boom, gone, whatever. Be careful out there. Anyway, HODL waves, very good. This is from Bitcoin Magazine Pro. And who is stacking? Another fun story. The NPS, which is the National Pension Service, which happens to be the third biggest pension fund on the planet based in South Korea. They have about $800 billion in assets. Guess what they just did? Well, they just joined Swiss National Bank and Norway's central bank as big investors in MicroStrategy. And MicroStrategy is the biggest publicly listed company holder of Bitcoin. It's basically the best Bitcoin proxy out there. And it's now holding way more than 1% of Bitcoin's total supply. So we have countries, pension funds all over the world. I don't know why they weren't confident buying a spot ETF, but they said, you know what, let's get some leveraged, high-performing MicroStrategy instead. Why not? It's good enough for them. It's good enough for me. And I like that. Also, somebody asked me to jump into funding rates and talk a bit about this too. Bitcoin funding rates are turned negative, which sometimes can impact the markets and screw up things, especially people if they're doing the old carry trade. But during the sharp downturn we had with the carry trade unwind to sub 50K levels, coin margin funding rates went extremely negative across retail fund exchanges like Bybit. And the chart here, you see the big spike in the red bars on the chart for that dip, and they continue to be negative funding rates. Mando and I spoke about this as well yesterday in DCA. But this indicates that many leveraged long positions were being forced to close, and many traders began to hedge positions or open short trades anticipating Bitcoin's price would drop further. That didn't happen. And in a bull market, by the way, extreme periods of negative funding rates typically mark the deepest point of a drop in Bitcoin before it rallies hard to the upside. Here we are. If I couldn't share any more data points for a bullish setup, I don't know. It's all there. So just be patient, everybody. Let's check on the Bitcoin price, actually, see how we're doing. And we have people watching that. Where's my chart? There it is. And Bitcoin still sucks. 59,200. But hey, it's August. 10 more days. We get into September, which can normally be a very volatile month. Also, another good news too. Sell side subsides. This is from the Glassnode and the major asset buy side versus sell side exchange inflows. The deep selling is done. Now it'll switch and pivot to buying. I expect the spot ETFs to really start stacking hard over the next couple of weeks. If not, maybe later this week too. We'll see. And more bullish indicators. SwissBlock, they are now back to PermaBull status. It may not look so from their speedometers, but on the Bitcoin front, their risk indicator has decreased phenomenally. Their momentum reading has slightly increased, but remains a tiny bit bearish. But on-chain fundamentals are still neutral, and there are signs that Bitcoin is about to break upwards. That is their set of indicators, and they're normally pretty good, actually, so watch that carefully. Let's switch gears, talk about the stock market real fast. The last 7 days, woo, we had a good week. NVIDIA up 10%. Monster move. Market cap of NVIDIA is $3.2 trillion. 1/3 of a decatrillion. Monster amount. Microsoft up. Apple up 2%. Google nearly 2%. Amazon 5%. Where's Tesla? Tesla up 6.5%. I mean, this was kind of crazy. And it's kind of hard to see exactly what happened because we did have that carry trade scare out of Japan. Everybody ran for the hills, hid under tables, but no. And I always say, I wish I could, it was in a concert, I could hold out the microphone and say, what do I do when things like that happen? You run into the burning building. This is what happens. And I'm missing a chart that should be next. Haha, there it is. Slightly out of sequence. This is what happens when you buy a dip from Charlie Bolello. These are the gains between August 5th and August 19th close. They didn't even include the gains from today. NVIDIA, 43%. In 2 weeks. 43%. Tesla, 22%. Bitcoin, 20%. Nikkei, 225, 20%. Meta, 18. Amazon, 18. Netflix, 17. Apple, 15. QQQ, 14. SPY, 10%, etc. Google, Microsoft underperformed both the SPY and the QQQ, which is unusual. But again, this is what happens when fear is at a max and we have positive things happening, like rate cuts coming. When you see these types of dips, be ready, be ready. Also, some good news between, we did mention Apple and crypto. This could be big from Crypto T, but developers can soon offer in-app NFC transactions using the secure element. After 10 years of exclusivity, Apple has opened up its NFC chip to third-party wallet developers. This now means that crypto wallets can now tap to pay. And Jeremy Allaire, the Circle CEO, already confirmed that USDC tap to pay is coming. But I think the potential for this is far higher. Okay. Think all crypto. Think Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, tap to pay on your phone, beep, beep, wallets everywhere. Think about adoption. Think about transactions. This could be huge. And Apple have not been very good at innovating other than changing the colors of the iPhones and the numbers from 1 to 17 or whatever they're at right now, or some headsets that cost the price of a kidney in Colombia. I don't know, very expensive. But the point is here, maybe their whole Apple Pay and this capability of the phone could really set crypto adoption on fire. We shall see. It could be huge. Also, Michael Saylor, friend of the channel, and Neil Jacobs says, Michael Saylor said, when I'm gone, my stock, my shares, my assets flow into a public charity whose mission is to support Bitcoin and the adoption of Bitcoin forever. That is so cool. And then people said to me, when I shared this in the community, they said, well, what are they going to do with their debt? Haha. You know what they do with the debt? They roll it into more debt because as Bitcoin appreciates, the company gets more valuable. Issue more stock, issue more debt, roll up, roll out, whatever, forever. So this was a very positive thing. And switching gears to a little bit of Tesla domination. Tesla has rebounded a little bit, and hat tip to Sanjay for the illustration and his beautiful handwriting, which is way neater than mine. This is just US electric vehicle sales in June 2024. And you can see that Tesla sells more cars, a lot more cars than all the other car makers combined, except the difference is every other car maker loses money when they make an EV. Winner takes most, like you've heard me say 1,000 times. Here it is again. But there's a lot more. Oh, by the way, I heard that Cybertruck units are up to 30,000 so far this year. They've made 30,000. It's still ramping like crazy. And also, they're all over 100 grand. So people, despite the recession, are finding ways to buy the Cybertruck. This is also a cool story from Tesla Energy. I do believe Tesla Energy will be bigger than cars one day. Although some people call it a car company, it's not. But congrats to the Tesla Nevada team for hitting a new record of building more than 500 Powerwalls in an 8-hour shift. Okay, each Powerwall is 10K. What's 500 times 10,000? My little brain, $5 million of revenue potential in 8 hours. And they're just scaling more. But related to energy too, and this is from Sawyer Merritt, MegaPactory, which is a mega factory for Megapacks, MegaPactory, get it? In Shanghai, it is now 45% complete in just 12 weeks. Okay, it's $250 million factory, and it'll handle 10,000, scaling more units per year of the Megapacks, and it'll make a ton of money and a ton of profit and support the green energy future. But for interest's sake, it would take you about 6 months to get a permit to do this in California. In the meantime, in China, it's half built in half the time. Regulation kills. It kills everything. Business, innovation, etc. We need to find a way to get governments out of the way and streamline processes so your own country doesn't fall behind. And from Piper Sandler, Megapack, their insights from their Megapack factory visit, they believe global demand for these energy sources will grow robustly. And they believe the market is projected to require around 2 terawatt hours of batteries by 2030. And that's more than a 20-fold increase. And we know who the leader is in this space. So again, they just need to build more mega factories. I believe they'll be popping out one a year, or doubling the scale of Lathrop, California and Shanghai, and probably drop one in Indonesia, maybe somewhere in South America. Spread them all around. Ta-da! It's happening. It's going to be huge. And they make 25% profit in each one of these things. And each one of these boxes costs $2 million. Crazy. And another ice melting news, and I know petrol heads hate to hear this. This is from Jeff Lutz, friend of the channel. EV registrations outpaced the total US auto industry in June. EVs increased, up 3.3% year over year, and total auto down 9%. The hybrids and the combustion engine cars are down hard. And this is just the beginning. It's not going to recover, despite what hopes you may have. It's just a fact of life. Peak ICE was 2017. Ding. All right? That's your Stellantis, your General Motors, your Ford, your Mercedes-Benz, your Volkswagens, all these things. They're all going into a world of hurt right now. And finally, from Tesla Larry, I know 2024 sucks. There's a recession everywhere and everything else, but he put this beautiful little piece together. I just want you to cast your eyes on the total Tesla truck, which means Model Y X Cybertruck. The actual number of units between the first 7 months of 2023, 162K. The first 7 months of 2024, 295,000. Can Tesla turn this into a positive year? Yes, they can at this rate. This is just the US only, by the way. And remember as well, the Cybertrucks, he's got 7 months of 11,400 units. I think it's more like 25,000 because they're already at a 30,000 VIN number from a little bird that told me yesterday. Anyway, let's move into final piece of kind of shocking yet interesting news. There is now a record 8.5% of homes in the United States cost over $1 million. The purchasing power of our income has been, and again, you can take this to Amsterdam, Sydney, Australia, wherever you want to go. In fact, homes in Sydney, Australia are more like $2.5 million a pop. So it's everywhere. But the point, the reason I'm sharing this is not because that, houses are 8.5% of houses in the US over $1 million. No, it's because of the reckless fiscal policies, the rampant currency inflation, excessive money printing, the dollar debasement, the currency X, fiat X debasement is what's crazy. When I was a kid, $1 million was a lot of money. Today, it won't get you a house in many places. And the real concern is no longer the nominal price of assets like real estate, but rather the issue of affordability. And it's not about how much something costs, but whether people can realistically afford it in distorted economies. But again, debasement floats all boats. That's why I urge people to get hard assets. Do not sit on cash, even in a recession with very high interest rates. Real estate's going up. Can you imagine what happens when the rates come down? Going to go up higher. And giving somebody $25,000 to get started is not going to help. Not going to help at all. It'll only enforce bad behavior, which we don't do here on this channel. Thank you all for coming. Sorry, it was a bit of a long show. A lot of stuff to get over. 5,000 people watching. And thanks all for coming. Hit the like and subscribe if you like. Somebody asked me, by the way, I said, why didn't you ask people to subscribe to your channel? I said, I assume they're intelligent enough to know what good content is, and they'll do it themselves. So anyway, thank you all for coming. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you, American Beijingers, TND Tesla, Sean Donnelly, K8, and all the wonderful people in the community. See you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.